The screams and shouts that once populated the battlefield before you have fallen silent as the fighting has drawn to a close. Various bodies lay strewn throughout the scene, some whole, some not. One figure stands atop a pile of corpses, dressed in simple tattered leather armor and covered in blood and viscera. They wield no shield, but a giant battle axe still dripping with fresh blood. As they look to the skies of calling down another challenge, with an almost feral and primal look in their eyes, they raise their hands and let out a baleful howl of pure rage. This is the Barbarian.
Welcome to another class episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're gonna get.
Hello, I'm Tyler, and with me are Dave and Sean, and this episode is called Barbarians, a coming-of-age story.
This episode covers all the things about the base Barbarian class from the 2024 Player's Handbook that you might need to know.
And before we get started, I just want to say happy birthday to Brad!
Happy birthday, Brad!
Happy birthday, Brad! Your birthday is on August 5th, in case you forgot. Happy birthday!
Your birth is acknowledged.
You were born!
Yay.
Huzzah!
So we're talking about barbarians today, guys. Rather than statistics and numbers, let's talk a little bit about what they are. First and foremost, they are fueled by this rage that we see commonly in barbarians, and it's from a primal source, as the PHP tells us. It doesn't necessarily mean just frustration or anger. It can be, but it's more than just that. It's something that is personified in different ways, whether it is out of anger, or but it can also be a ferocious spirit, a sorrowful world that is around them that just does this. It could be this wild magic that's within them, or maybe even just power within themselves that they find. But that's really what this rage comes from. Now, in their, wherever they're coming from, whether it's a tribe, whether it's a family, whatever it is, the barbarians are usually seen as the leaders. They are the ones that are taking control. But if we were to look at what do they look like in a party? Because we have this idea of where they came from, but how would you go about playing a barbarian? Well, first and foremost, think of it this. They're a little brash, to be a little blunt there. They will put themselves in front of others and not necessarily think about what they're doing, because there's this protection aspect to them. They're headstrong, they want to be there, they're in the thick of it.
Yeah, they really rush into it, right? Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They go rushing on in and usually pay the price for it. Which is, yes.
But they're well equipped to deal with it.
Yes, they are. That absolutely. But they're not always the sharpest tool in the shed. That's usually the tool they hold in their hands. It's not their head, although it is a good blunt object for hitting things. But let's talk about how does a barbarian work in a party. If you want to play a barbarian, go right ahead. But if you've never played one before, some things you want to think about. They are usually a heavy damage dealer, and boy, can they dish out damage. Like, wow, you get hit by one of those guys, you may not be getting back up.
Yeah, I've played a Barbarian a few times. I really like them. I mean, I'm more for jumping into the melee side, and these guys do that and do it well, right?
They do, yeah.
And last time I played a barbarian, I did it the other way around, actually, where I went as an engineer. He started his life in military trying to... He was trained to demolish buildings and tear down bridges, and he channeled his rage towards that instead. So instead of him, being the guy that runs in front to try and draw attention and all this, he did a lot of damage, but he was cunning about it, and his rage was more fueled by the knowledge of the battlefield.
I love that.
Yeah, these guys aren't the dumb rage monsters, illiterates of days past.
No, they don't have to be.
No,
absolutely.
That's exactly it. They don't have to be.
They can be,
If you want to play it, go right ahead. But they don't have to be. Something else that's interesting about barbarians, though, they don't really have the heavy armor. They usually have a lower AC. And because of that, I don't want to call them a tank.
No.
Because they're not. Rather, I would call them a punching bag. Because they can take the punches. on a lot of them too. They for hit dice, they have a D12 for hit dice. That's pretty hefty. So yes, they can take the stuff.
I think they're the only one that gets a D12, right?
Yeah.
They're the only one, yeah. They're going to be the one that gets the most health, and because they don't have the armor, they're going to get hit a lot, but we're going to see why later. It's not going to be too much of a problem.
No.
But if we were to look at what are the species, because what we're calling it now is species, that they could be, or backgrounds, because backgrounds have a lot more now in 5.5, which I love. I love the idea that backgrounds are taking a forefront. So from the PHP, I would say the species that really kind of go front with a barbarian, A would be Goliath.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest ones. They are one of the biggest species. Along with... Quiet, calm down there, Dave. Calm down. We have orcs. You could even have a dragonborn be a barbarian as well. And these are the bigger species that of the list that we have.
I had a friend play a gnome barbarian in a one-shot one time. He was relatively useless, but that was more a statement on the friend than the character. So, you know...
Fair. Very fair. You gotta be the right person to play a barbarian. If you're useless, by all means, continue to be useless. We still love you. But when it comes to the backgrounds, again, which has taken a bit more forefront here, the three that kind of came to mind that would fit with a barbarian would be a soldier who's seen battle, a guard, because who knows all the stuff they gotta put up with.
Right?
Yeah.
And lastly, a sailor. And I find that it's just, especially with that, they've seen a lot. And they've experienced a lot. And how many bar fights have they been in?
Yeah, they're brawlers through and through.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd never considered that. I love that.
Well, you figure a couple of ships pull up beside each other, you jump over, and you're gonna go berserk.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Or if someone doesn't quite swab the deck and you slip,
Oh, that's
that
great.
hurts.
So I've been replaying Assassin's Creed Black Flag lately, and this is just like perfectly right up here. I'm loving this. All right.
The assassin's turning into a barbarian. Oh, no! So when it comes to spells, though, barbarians don't really have anything unless we're going to talk about an archetype in a later episode, but they can have something of a bit of wild magic. Now, unfortunately, you can't really choose any magic spells for this because it's a random table. And later episodes, we're going to cover that.
This was one of the barbarians that I played. It's a lot of fun.
They are a lot of fun. Oh, every time you rage, it's fun. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Rather than specializing in spells, they prefer weapons. And they prefer hefty weapons. Not on them, Dave.
Oh, sorry, you got me.
See it in your eyes. No, but they like great axes. They like their broad swords.
Big hammers.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Of the...
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
They also prefer their big pikes. I think it's a bigger weapon they will use, and they will inflict pain. It's rare to see something like a dagger on a barbarian unless it is just for show. But other than that, they don't really have other things. Again, they don't carry big armor. They might be a pack horse for all the gear, but they don't really specifically have anything else other than gear. They found a big axe wedged into a skeleton. Pull it out, give it to the barbarian, see what he can do with it. Maybe he'll throw it at somebody.
Yeah, every time my party, when I'm DMing, has come across a big axe or something, it's right to the barbarian. Do you want this? Do you want this? I mean, they never do. They always got their bigger, better toy, but, you know.
The other side of that coin is barbarians never without a weapon because they can just pick up tree.
Yeah.
Tree is club.
That's just it.
It's perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I had a barbarian that went around punching.
Yes.
So, yeah, no weapons.
He is a weapon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just brass knuckles.
There you go.
Yeah.
So here's a question, though. How would a barbarian get stronger? Like, how would we narratively say that? Oh, you leveled up. Yes. Well, what does that look like? Well, I'd say maybe through a trial of some sort, something that they're going through. Maybe it's something that someone has decreed upon them, you must do this. Someone from their tribe or their god that they serve. Or maybe it's something, a deeper connection with their rage. An understanding it. It is not just I rage, I will hit harder. No, it's understanding where their rage comes from and what it is. And as a DM, I would want to reward my player that, okay, that's a great way for leveling up. I like that. We want to leave it open and see what a player can come up with. Any ideas in your guys' parts?
I always played the idea of the barbarian. I mean, the idea being that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Right? That level of stuff. Like, as the barbarian is fighting more often, getting into more, combat, they're slowly learning things and slowly honing their craft. And yeah, I was always a fan of, you learned this from your previous battle, and now you are adopting a piece of the martial art, per se.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I like the idea of, if they're going to hit a different level, whatever ability is unlocked at that level, make it a trial that kind of links up with that. If it's uncanny dodge, maybe they have to do some sort of acrobatic skill test, while everybody else is doing a rest,
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball.
Absolutely.
I haven't thought about that movie in at least 5 minutes.
I'm sorry. But if we come down to it, let's talk a tiny bit about mechanics, about the core traits and what they do. At the beginning of the PHP here, it tells us that some of the skill proficiencies that they can have. They can choose 2 from the following list: animal handling, athletics, intimidation, nature, perception, and survival. Now, something I find is interesting about all of these is that they're either focused on strength-oriented things or their surroundings. Whether it's athletics, intimidation, I would count as strength because their strength is intimidating. Or if it's focused on how do we survive. And animal handling, I think they find themselves more akin to animals than they do to people.
Yeah, I've always kind of thought barbarians is more of like Outlanders kind of thing, more tribal, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, they don't have to be, but that's why I always thought it fit well with Goliaths, right? Because of that tribal, archetype, right?
Oh, absolutely. Now, if we want a multi-class here, guys, you need to have a minimum strength of 13. And barbarians are fun to multi-class into, but we want to keep that in mind. You need a minimum strength of 13, just like all the other classes have a 13 of a specific skill you need.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. All right, so essentially here we've got a couple of differences between how the barbarians used to be and how they are now. We're just going to kind of go through the way that their different abilities work at different levels here. So you're a barbarian, the first thing you're going to want to know about is your raging, okay? So the way that they've got it now, you use a bonus action to make it happen. You get this a number of times per day, based on the table at the beginning of the barbarian chapter here. It scales up, higher levels, more numbers. Higher numbers.
Big number,
big
good.
Yeah, number, big good.
Number go up.
Now,
strong.
One of the things I really liked about the raging in the new edition is that you regain 1 use after a short rest. Okay, whereas before you needed to do a long rest to regain all of them, which is still the case. You still regain them all on a long rest, but getting that 1 on a short rest is invaluable.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That is, I think, understated, right? Now, one of the other differences is in the previous edition and this one, you can't concentrate on anything. There is no such thing as concentration while raging. But in the previous edition, it went so far as to say that you couldn't cast spells. That is not the case in this new edition.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Again, you can't hold concentration on it, but you still might be able to do it, right? You still get damage resistant on slashing, bludgeoning, and piercing damage when you're raging. Your rage damage, you're raging, you're going to do extra damage, right? I think it starts at +2 for your rage damage, and that increases based on the table at the beginning of the section as well. And again, that's pretty much the same between the previous edition and this one. That's pretty standard. Another big change here is to the duration. In the old edition, it lasted until you were unconscious, and if you haven't attacked hostile creatures, haven't taken any damage, but it lasts for a minute. In the new edition, it ends at the end of your next turn unless you make an attack roll, you force an enemy to make a save, you use your bonus action to extend the rage, you become unconscious, or you run out of time, which has increased from 1 minute to 10 minutes.
Interesting.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty fun.
That's wild. Now, I can guarantee you that I have played the previous edition where my Barbarian has not been re-upping his rage after 1 minute. But I honestly don't think our combats last too much longer than that.
No.
10 rounds is a long time.
And I think that they introduced that to prevent players from saying, I'm just going to stay in a rage this entire time outside of battle so that I can
I'm just going to keep hitting myself.
Yeah.
Keep hitting myself.
Yeah.
That was one of my Barbarian players. He was famous for that. Oh, I can't quite get to the guy on this turn, so I'm going to punch myself and take a damage.
Yeah.
All right. They've kind of gotten away from that a little bit here.
I like the idea that they can take a bonus act. They can use the bonus action to extend the rage, or are you using another rage to do it?
No, you're not using an additional rage, you're just using the action to extend it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I meant by like they got rid of the punching yourself to extend it, right?
Yeah.
You can just do it if you've got
If you have a bonus action.
Yeah, you got to convince yourself to stay mad. It's like, oh, yeah, I don't really want to be mad. No, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Slap yourself in the face. Don't take damage, but...
In addition to that, at first level, you also get unarmored defense. When you're not wearing any armor, your AC is equal to 10 plus dex plus con, and you can use a shield. This is the same between both editions. This has not changed at all. Another change that they've made for the Barbarians at level 1 is you now get weapon mastery, which wasn't a thing in the previous edition. Okay, this just allows you to take 2 kinds of simple or martial weapon mastery, and you can change this on a long rest. I'm not going to get into what those are. That's a different topic, right? And again, that was not even a thing in the previous edition.
It is actually an interesting thing that they bring it in here because it definitely gives a lot more playability to these martial classes.
Yeah. I mean, a brief breakdown gives you an ability or an effect on your attack, right? So you get something fancy with it. I like the idea that you can change it on a long rest. I believe the Barbarian you can only change 1 on a long rest.
Yes, you can only change 1.
Yeah. But that was kind of neat. At level 2, you get Danger Sense, which is an advantage on dex saving throws, unless you're incapacitated. The difference here is that in the old edition, you needed to be able to see it in order to get the bonus, where it doesn't mention that at all in the new edition. Also, at second level, you get Reckless Attack, which gives you advantage on any melee attack this turn. But they get advantage against you. Sorry, on all of your melee attacks this turn. You have to do it at the beginning of your turn. And it applies to all of your attacks. So if you've got 3 attacks, you get on each of them. But opponents get advantage against you as well. This is the same. This has not changed. Level 3, you get your subclass choice or your primal path choice from the old edition. One of the changes here, though, is you get a proficiency in 1 skill from the Barbarian class list. So something you didn't pick before, you can get it now. This is a level 3 ability. And you can also make any ability check using your strength if you're raging. So say you are in your middle of your rage and you have to do an intelligence save, you can choose to use strength instead and use that modifier. All right, that's kind of a neat one. Level 4, you get an ability score improvement. That doesn't really change much. Level 5, you get an extra attack. We know what that's like. Level 6, you get fast move. Your speed increases by 10 feet if you are not wearing heavy armor. This is exactly the same between the 2 editions.
Yep.
Level 7, you get Feral Instinct, which gives you advantage on initiative. This is the same, except in the previous edition, you couldn't be surprised on the opening round of combat. Now you can.
Okay. Yeah.
Level 8, for Barbarians, you get another ability stat increase in ASI. Level 9 is where it gets interesting. The old edition, you got Brutal Critical. When you hit with a critical roll, you deal 1 extra die damage. This goes up at level 13 and level 17 as well. So if you're doing a D8 damage, you would roll 2D8 damage. You would roll, then again at 13, you would roll 3 and so on. They've changed it a little bit now. It's called Brutal Strike. Okay. So in the new edition, if you have used Reckless Attack, you can forgo advantage on any of your attacks. So if you have 3 attacks, you can still get it on the first 2 and then forgo it on the third one. Okay. If you hit, if any of the attacks hit, you roll a 1d10 damage and cause 1. When the attacks hit, you roll an extra d10 damage and you cause 1 of the Brutal Strike effects. There's 2 choices here. There's Forceful Blow, which the target is pushed 15 feet back in a straight line away from you. Then you can move half of your speed towards the target without taking opportunity attacks. I really like that one.
That is really
That gives
good.
that gives you a little bit of control.
Yeah.
Right? And then the other one is Hamstring Blow, where the target's speed is reduced by 15 feet until the start of your next turn. and you can only affect a target once. You can affect multiple targets, but you can't hit him once now and hit him again to get him 30 feet on his next turn or anything like that. Okay, does that make sense?
It does.
It really does. I like those because, again, it gives more versatility for the martial class. For barbarians, it's not just I hit.
Yeah.
It's I hit and...
Yeah, brutal critical was kind of a shitty cop-out of an ability.
Really?
How often do you critical, right? And it's not even going to come into effect until you're almost tier 3.
Yeah,
right?
no, absolutely.
Like it's kind of lackluster, right? This has depth. Now you have to use your reckless attack, but I like that because I found a lot of barbarians that I've had as players were steering away from it because, I don't want them to have advantage.
I don't want to have 12
It's like, this
things
is
have
one of the
advantage.
core things that you have. Like, use it. Come on.
Yeah.
And this kind of shoehorns you into it.
That's really good.
Right. Other than that, for this tier, we get level 10, which is just a class feature, which is going to vary based on your subclass, right?
And actually, talking about subclasses, let's just quickly, I want to mention the 4 subclasses that we have here. We're going to talk about them in a later episode, but I just want to name them so you guys are aware of them. First, we have the Path of Berserker, which is fueled by violence. That is rage is violence.
Rage incarnate. Yeah.
Yes. You meet one of those, you may not meet it again because you're going to die.
You're going to have a bad day.
Yeah. The next one is a Path of a Wild Heart. And that's kind of like an animal friend. And their rage is the connection to them. This kind of spiritual aspect to it, this spiritual animal. Then we have Path of the World Tree, which connects them to the world.
That's new this edition.
That is new in this edition. It's rather interesting. I'm trying to remember what the tree is called.
It doesn't matter. It's always going to be the white tree in Minas Tirith.
Perfect. Excellent. Put it to whatever it is in your campaign. But it's this idea that connects it to that, to life. And their rage is the rage when life is in pain and sorrow. That's their rage coming out. And
Is this like Avatar?
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, where they're like all in tuned with the trees and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that what you took from Avatar?
Well, they like made their sex hair plug into the tree, right?
Oh, that Avatar.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Not-
Sorry, I was thinking something
not the
else.
Airbender.
Yeah.
Not Airbender.
No.
I thought when there were 2, I'm like, okay, yeah. All right.
No, the blue ones. Come on, guys.
He was blue sometimes. He had a blue arrow on his head.
Sometimes it glowed.
Anyways.
Last one is the Path of the Zealot, however you want to say that. And it is just a religious barbarian. And their frustration or rage comes from their religion, their passion for it. So, let's continue on to tier 3 and 4.
Absolutely. So, level 11, we see Relentless Rage. And this is one of those abilities that makes the barbarian just a monster on the battlefield.
Pop, pop, pop.
Pop, pop, pop!
They're already a monster.
Right? Really quick, if you drop to 0 hit points, you can roll against your roll a Constitution saving throw and potentially stand up. It's pretty much that simple. The DC goes up over time, but it resets on a long rest. Being able to stand back up after you've been knocked down is very, very, very powerful. It can extend a fight for a very long time.
Well, yeah, and if you keep making the save.
Yeah.
Now, in the old edition, wasn't it just one time?
No, in the old edition, you could, looking at the at the text right now, in the old edition as well, you had the ability to roll against a DC to be able to stand back up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting I'm getting the half-orc confused in my head. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After that, we've got level 12. We just get an ASI. That's pretty much the same as it was back in the 5th ed days. Level 13th, we've got Improved Brutal Strike, which replaces the improved Brutal Critical from the 5th ed. Improved Brutal Strike, instead of giving you 2 dice, as it did previously, you still maintain the 1d10 damage dice of the same type, but you get 2 new effects that you can apply. Staggering Blow and Sundering Blow. Staggering Blow will give your target disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes, and denies opportunity attacks until the start of your next turn, which is fun, especially if you need to get out.
There's a lot of stuff I'm noticing that allows you to avoid opportunity attacks.
Yeah.
And then with the pushing around, this really gives me the idea that barbarians are more battle mastery
They
Or
really
like tactic, like
they have control on the battlefield.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Which I find almost fits well, because if they are kind of the front liners, and again, not just a hit, but they're the protectors.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that kind of know where they got to go and get there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the ones that are going to kind of dictate what's going on.
Yeah. I think you said it best earlier, where they have stopped being just the I hit things every round, and now there's a lot more tactics that you can bring to it, a lot more
There's
flavor
depth to them.
Yeah,
They're intelligent.
absolutely. The second ability being Sundering Blow that comes off the improved Brutal Strike allows you to confer a +5 bonus to another creature attacking that creature. So if I use Sundering Blow as a barbarian, I would the next attack rolled made by any other creature against that creature I attacked gets a +5 to the attack bonus, which is handy when you've got great big AC sponges sitting in front of you. And
But it's great when you've got that one player that's been building up to a big attack, and you can just kind of give them that little bit of confidence to get there, you know?
yeah.
That's really good, yeah.
14th level, we get a subclass feature, which is, again, basically the same as it was in 5th ed. 15th, we get Persistent Rage, and it doesn't really change too much, but when you roll initiative, you gain all of your expended uses of Rage. So even when we were talking about gaining a use of Rage on a short rest, now you can do it once per day, regain all of them in one go.
That's handy.
On top of it, your rage now lasts the full 10 minutes without you needing to do anything to extend it round to round.
Oh, nice. That's powerful.
Yeah. Your range still ends early if you have the unconscious condition, or, interestingly enough, if you don heavy armor.
Yeah.
So they're trying to force you to not wear heavy armor, which I think is...
Yeah, that's what a barbarian is.
Yeah.
We made the punching bag, not the tank.
16th level, we get to see another ability score improvement. Fantastic. It's not until level 17 that we get an additional die to our improved Brutal Strike. Instead of getting another 2 abilities to be able to tack onto it here, now we get to roll 2d10, and in addition, you get to use 2 different Brutal Strike effects in the same attack.
Ooh.
That, I actually really like that. For level 17, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Use Forceful Blow and Sundering Blow together.
Yeah.
You knock it 15 feet into one of your buddies who's now set up for an attack.
Well, the catch here is that you need to be reckless attacking to do this, right?
Sure.
Right? Like
Okay.
so you have to impose advantage against yourself for everybody else to do this. So I'm just saying, like, this sounds really powerful. There is a catch.
There is a caveat. Yeah, absolutely. 18th level, we get to see Indomitable Might. Indomitable.
Very good.
Indomitable. There we go.
Oh, like the snowman.
Right.
Yeah.
If your total for a strength check or a strength saving throw is less than your strength score, you could just use it instead. That was the same thing in 5th ed. Everything's fantastic there. Level 19, you get your Epic Boon feat, which didn't exist in 5th edition. It basically just replaces an ability score improvement. And last but not least, level 20, the capstone feature. Primal Champion, I think it's pretty much unchanged. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty much unchanged. The idea of it is you just gain an additional strength and constitution. You gain additional strength and constitution, 4 points of each, up to a maximum of 25. C'est tout, ça suffit.
I like that. You know what? I like how they've changed it and how they've kept some things the same. It really does add a lot of flavor, and as you said, it gives a lot more opportunities for the barbarian.
They've made it better.
They really have. They didn't change too much because
No, and even the things they changed, they added the same flavor to it, right? Instead of the brutal critical, we got the brutal strike, right? You know,
it was improved. It wasn't replaced.
And here's the thing. If you are coming into, are we calling it 5.5? Is that what we're actually calling it?
I'm just calling it new.
The new 5th ed?
Yeah.
All right, new.
They need to work on their branding.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Regardless, coming into it, you can still play it the old way where you just walk up and hit stuff if that's what you want. But now there are so many more options to take. You've got so much more you can do with this.
Exactly, absolutely. It gives you a lot more versatility. And I want that as a martial character. I want to be able to do things. Usually it's the fighter as a battle master. Now you can have so many different options.
You know, when I'm playing a barbarian, it's always kind of frustrating to just sit there and wait for my turn, roll my handful of dice in a minute, and then be done, moving on, wait 5-10 minutes till my turn again. Roll my dice because I'm ready to go, because I only do the one thing. They've helped that. They've worked on that. All right?
Oh, absolutely. So I want to ask questions for you guys. I got some questions here, but before we do so, let's roll initiative to see who goes first.
All right, I go first. That's me. 18. Ah, you bumped it to a 13.
I was red. I'm 15.
I'm 10.
Damn it, Dan.
So my first question for you, Dave, is overall, how do you feel about the updated Barbarian compared to the original 5th edition? We've kind of already discussed this a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I gravitated towards the Barbarian through and through already, and this makes me want to revisit it again. The most fun I have is playing as a Barbarian or Paladin, I guess, or Fighter, like the martial classes. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty and worry about how many spells of this and how many do I know here and what does the area... Like, I don't want to... No. I want to get in, I want to have a clean game, I want to hit it, I want to do lots of damage, and I want to leave again.
You don't want to be a wizard and do a lot of damage to a lot of people?
No, I don't want to deal with spell books and all that crap. I just want an axe. It's simple, it's great. It just...
Are you a dwarf? And my axe.
Yeah, like, you know how Dan is orky and
Always
smashy?
an orc.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily the orc, but definitely the smash. You know, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, no, like this new edition, this has me wanting to sink my teeth into this again, right? Like this, yeah, there's a lot, and it's got to be tier 3 because I want to get into this brutal strike. This is, I think, where you start to really get into it. Now, there's some neat stuff before that, but this is really, really where you start to unlock the potential, right?
Agreed, absolutely. Now, there's fun stuff in the subclasses, too, that they get into. But yeah, I think you're right. Once you get into that 3rd tier with the Barbarians, it becomes a lot more fun, both in combat and outside of combat, too. Because you can imagine using some of these brutal strikes in non-combat situations.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Using it in exploration and puzzle.
Yeah, especially when you've got to keep your rage going indefinitely to do it. I mean, that
For 10 minutes at least.
10 minutes, yeah.
Well, I mean, that gives you advantage on strength, right?
It does, absolutely, yeah.
If you're not combat and you got to lift a bunch of stuff right away, well, you have to rage and, you know.
But now you can keep it going.
Yeah, that's great.
Handy for chases as well with the hamstring blow too, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. How about you, Sean? What is something that, what do you think of this Barbarian class?
Gone are the days where you just sit and wait for your turn, like you were saying, Dave, to, roll a mitt full of dice and see how much damage you do and maybe move your character to somewhere else strategic on the battlefield, hoping that your enemy's going to be there when you get back, right? Like, this feels a lot more, I don't want to say involved, but...
Sorry, I want to focus on something you just said about hoping the enemy's still there when it comes back to you. Because that's something like they've addressed that. You don't take these opportunity attacks. You can move a little bit easier to get around and try to get to these things. They've worked on that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a lot more tools in your tool belt than just smack with hammer, right? And I do appreciate that. You can still play it if you want to play, Oscar the Dumb Orc and smack it with a hammer. You can do that, but you've got so much more here. There's so much more. I don't want to say there's more flavor. It's just there's more to play with.
Right. Yeah. More than just their hammer.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Tyler.
As I said, I really like it. I like how they've improved it. They haven't changed it. That's what I like. Is the flavor, as you said, Dave, is still there. And they've just improved on the flavor. They've changed what they needed to change that people were asking for, and it has given a breath of fresh air that makes you want to play Barbarian.
A Barbarian is a good stew. A Barbarian is a good stew, and 5.5 gave us more meat in that stew.
What if I don't want to call my Barbarian stew? What if I would prefer Greg?
I mean, a Barbarian named Greg might be an interesting choice, but I don't think that would be.
Okay, that's fair. So a second question for you guys is, what is a role-playing tip you'd have for someone who has never played a Barbarian before? That's 5th or 5.5, whatever they're playing. What is a tip you got?
The most fun I had playing a barbarian was the most recent one I played. He was a Leonin, and he had a character flaw where he was confidently incorrect. And
I remember hearing about this.
yeah, he was so sure in everything he did. And if you're feeling like your barbarian is just there to hit, give him something like that. Give him a quirk. Give him something that's gonna force him into the roleplay, because it's really hard, or it's really easy to get sidelined in the roleplay and exploration pillars when you're playing this particular class. This really does focus combat well, but it doesn't have to.
That's just it. Yeah, I like that.
I have to agree with you. It's really easy as a barbarian to fall into the trope of, I am only here to hit. And keep in mind that there's a lot more fun in this game than just the combat.
Yeah.
And, you kind of have to find a way to be able to get yourself into that during character creation and find out who your character is as you're playing, and it's going to evolve. But it's starting out with something fun like you were saying, being confidently incorrect all the time, or being an engineer, right? It's give yourself something to play with other than just I hit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing you want to think about too is, as you are a barbarian, talk with your DM about what your goals are as a barbarian. Are you just there to fight? Or what's the backstory? And really try and work that in, whether it is in combat or maybe it is through social. Explore the other pillars. And especially with what we have here, is look at the abilities you have. Use them in non-combat situations and see how it plays out. Think how is a barbarian going to react in a situation that a wizard would usually do?
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
Especially if you've cross-classed into barbarian a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You got some interesting ideas mixing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a barbarian is gonna have interesting ideas.
A barbarian.
Yes.
Would it be a barbizard or a wizarian?
Yes.
I don't want to do this game.
Okay.
42.
So let's go with another question from there. What do you guys envision of a training facility for a barbarian? What is it going to look like, especially as they're adventuring? Like, what does training even look like?
I think it is going to depend on your species and your background. Yeah. Like we were talking about the backgrounds earlier with the soldiers. I mean, soldiers, you're going to have training grounds. You're going to have... we all know what this looks like. If you don't know what this looks like, go watch Game of Thrones. They have it everywhere. Okay? But if it's more outland... then they're going to be running through the bush kind of on their own, or maybe through mountainous terrain on their own, kind of doing different things, right? I think this is where you start to get your species flavor, and that's where this applies, right?
I think so. Yeah, that's good.
I like the idea of the barbarian during the long rest, sitting, staring into the fire as he's sharpening his axe, replaying the battles of the day in his head, and finding all the times where he misplaced a foot, or perhaps put a little bit too much weight into his axe as he's sitting there and, honing his weapon and honing himself inside as well. Alternatively, if you're playing a barbarian that's a lot less introspective, perhaps, the standard, I attack a tree while I'm waiting. And you can always follow a barbarian by finding the trees that they've cut down along the way.
I like the weapon mastery edition for that, because you're sitting there,
really
you're
good.
playing with these tools, these weapons, you're starting to get this, I just found these cool axes. Well, maybe I'm going to be proficient with, or have the mastery for axes. I don't really like it. Next time we're going to go back to swords, right? Mm-hmm. You can have fun with that.
I like that. I like that a lot. What about you?
One thing I find that I would want to focus in with a barbarian is their inspiration for why they do what they do, and train in that. I almost envision a barbarian carrying around a stuffed animal of some sort. And that when you think, oh, that's cute, oh, he carries a stuffed animal. No, the stuffed animal belonged to his daughter, and his daughter was killed. And every time he looks at the stuffed animal, it reminds him of why he's doing this, and actually causes him to get angry. And it brings about why he's doing this, and further that inspiration and that keep going.
This seems totem adjacent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
I was thinking Simpsons adjacent. Do it for her.
But I like that idea of them keeping something with them to remind them of why they are, and it kind of helps inspire to keep going throughout. So I got one last question for you guys.
All right.
And on a scale of 1 to 12, 1 being the absolute best class, and 12 being the worst, where does the Barbarian rank in your excitement to try them out at the D&D table, and why?
Okay. 1 being the best and 12 being the worst seems backwards to me.
I know.
But we're gonna stick with it. Barbarian, top 3, easy. Probably has a good shot at number 1. I do really like paladins because of their healing, their lay on hands and stuff like that. You can kind of just worry about just yourself.
You're a player that actually heals?
Yeah. Well, myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Yeah. No, I'm not worried about anybody else. But the barbarians having that damage reduction and being able to take a hit with having just a massive pile of hit points, not really dying once you actually die. Plus all of these new brutal strike abilities, like there's a lot going on here. If this was 2 or 3 before, I think the new changes might have bumped it up to 1. Like this is
Nice.
This is great for me. I love this.
I gotta agree with you. Top 3 for sure. Right behind Warlock and Wizard, because those are, I love those. Those are my favorites
For the W.
for the W, right? But absolutely, I would be really excited to be able to play this, even play my old character with this new system and find out what different things he'd do.
That's fair. That's very fair, and that's always a fun thing to do. Honestly, for me, it stands at about maybe a 7 or so, 7 or 8. I like having a lot of options. I like something like a Warlock where I have to plan ahead of time. Or a cleric where I'm planning my spells out every day. And I love a good martial class. I love that. But as you mentioned, Dave, a paladin, I'm a paladin person or a fighter. The barbarian, I like what they did to it. And if a party needed a barbarian, I would be it. But it's not in my top 3, but I absolutely respect that the changes that they have made to it. And I really like it.
Would you call it top 6 or bottom 6?
Bottom 6.
Yeah. Interesting.
I like what they've done, but it doesn't make me want to play it above other classes that are available.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So as we think about the Barbarians now and how they have changed, what is your favorite thing that they have changed here?
I really like the changes they did to Brutal Strike. I think that is just gives you so much depth here. It is such a difference from you get an extra critical die if you happen to critical, right? We're using crit tables anyways. I don't care about the extra crit die. You know, that seemed kind of lackluster before. They nailed it with this.
They did, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dave, I find myself agreeing with you too much.
That's never good.
That's never a good thing.
Yeah.
I do like the changes that they made to Rage Extension. One of the things I really enjoy about this new edition is they really took a look at how people were breaking the classes prior to this edition coming out, right?
Yeah.
And how they were cheesing certain things, like, as you were saying, I'm a barbarian that continually punches himself in the face to be able to extend my rage.
This feels play tested.
This feels
It really does.
Yeah.
honed. This feels a lot more purposeful. This feels a lot more focused. This feels more than just hit thing.
You know, when I went from 3.5, I skipped 4th and went straight to 5th. Okay. And I was a little dismayed at just the lack of stuff when I came to 5th edition, and I was a little dumbfounded by it. I was like, where's all of this? Where's my base attack bonus? Where's my everything else, right? Where is my character sheet littered with numbers I'm never going to use? What do you mean I'm not flat-footed? What do you mean there's no touch AC? Like, what's going on here? Where's my deflection model? Like, there is a lot. And they really dumbed it down. And you know what? The more I played, the more I liked it. This, they've made it a little more complex without making it hard to learn.
Yep.
And really kind of I think if I were to jump straight from 3.5 into whatever you want to call this new edition, I would find that to be less of an issue at this point, right? Like they've really kind of given you a little bit more depth.
Absolutely, I would completely agree that this has become a class that is more playable, that for all the pillars and not just combat, and to still have fun in combat, not waiting forever. It kind of gives that a great new take on it, or not even a new take, but an improved take, as we had said.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for coming and checking out another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. If you would like to go online, you can find us at www.itsamimic.com and find us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, or whatever that is. I don't use it that one. What's
Apple
that called?
Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. That's the one. There. Find it there. Again, thanks for listening.
That's all for this class episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. This episode and others can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and most other podcast apps. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, subscribe, comment, or review to help push our engagement. Thanks for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're gonna get.
Before we get any further, I just want to say thank you to Connor for your support on our Patreon, and we look forward to talking to you on the Discord. This week, besides this episode, we also are playing catch-up on all of the stuff that we've missed in the last couple of weeks, so there should be quite a few episodes coming out this week. But the one that we had scheduled originally is actually a spells episode that we hope is going to pair nicely with the Barbarian episode. Steve and I sit down and we talk about buff spells for buffing characters, levels 1 to 3 spells. So hopefully you guys on the Patreon are going to be able to get a little bit of additional inspiration on how to handle the barbarians in your party, even though they can't cast spells. There might be something there for you to buff your party members. Anyway, let's get to the good stuff. It's the end of an episode on playable classes, and that means it's time to talk about a subclass available on D&D Beyond in the partnered content section. This episode was on Barbarians, so I want to tell you about the Juggernaut Barbarian from the Tal'Dorei campaign setting Reborn. I'm sure I don't need to tell most of you this, but the Tal'Dorei campaign setting Reborn is the official campaign setting for Critical Role, and the publication on D&D Beyond is probably one of the best and the most popular third-party offerings. The Path of the Juggernaut encompasses two basic concepts. One is you are an immovable object, and also you are an unstoppable force. Both things at the same time. Now, it is traditionally built for Goliaths in the campaign setting, but it does say that dwarves and other humanoids can also be a part of this, and the artwork is even of a gnome. Right from the beginning of the subclass, you are able to push your enemies 5 feet away with a successful hit, but also you're able to anchor yourself, and so you cannot be knocked prone against your will. As you level up, you get some features that allow you to do things like additional damage to structures or constructs. You are able to not be grappled at 6th level. You're able to knock some of your enemies prone at 10th level. And beyond that, you have an ability that makes you immune to frightened, paralyzed, prone, or stunned conditions. Now, all of these kick off when you're raging, so it's a very barbarian thing to do. I think that this is a lot of fun and really flavorful. It's just a really barbarian-y barbarian. Tal'Dorei campaign setting Reborn is an amazingly well thought out offering from Matt Mercer and the Critical Role team, and there are 8 other subclasses listed in the player section of this tome. This is not a paid advertisement. I just thought this is kind of awesome, and I thought some of you would as well. If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com. You can also head to itsamimic.com to find a comprehensive episode guide and more information about the show. We do have a Patreon, which not only offers access to our exclusive Discord server, but also hosts over 100 episodes, including a variety of bonus episodes covering topics like 5th edition book reviews and the campaign builder, spells and gods, fae, homebrew inspiration, and even the Blood War. If you'd like to submit any mailbag questions, please reach out to us through any of the social media links in the show notes of this episode, or send us an email at info@itsamimic.com. This has been an episode of It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.